Welcome to my channel Realities, where I give you recaps on my favorite reality shows. I watched the first 6 episodes of Love is Blind Season 8. If you've never seen the show, the basis of it is a dating to marry show. It's like speed dating style, but through a wall, so you can't see one another. The premise is that you marry blind. The first 6 episodes for this season are all in the pods, is what they call it. They spend 10 days there dating other singles, and at the end of the 10 days, they will get engaged sight unseen. Daniel is in accounting, and he's 30 and a Taurus. He meets Taylor, who is 30, I think, and she's a nurse, and she's a Pisces as well. Wanted to see each other again, which gives me the impression that they've all seen each other before, like off camera, that we do not get to see. So I guess they kind of pick their favorites and then go from there. But they're pretty cute. They click right away. They're making jokes about him getting down on one knee, which he does. He's like, maybe I should know something more than your name is just Taylor. Chat about family, and he mentions that his sister is blind, and he aspires to be like her, and that's why he's kind of interested in this experiment. Next, we meet Devin, who is 28, and he's a program director for youth and sports and an assistant coach for high school girls basketball. He's a Pisces. He first meets Brittany, who's 34, and she's an Aries. She played basketball her whole life, and she's a college basketball coach. They vibe really well. They have fun. They don't really show much. And then he meets Virginia, who is 34 and a Capricorn, and she's in the medical field. Is she a doctor? Devin and Virginia went to the same high school, but they're 5 years apart. She didn't play basketball, but she did dance for the NBA. They show Virginia and Brittany talking in the women's quarters, like joking about how young he is, but they're both talking to the same guy, and I thought that was really nice to see. It's the only time we see women kind of being in a good light when talking about the men in the women's quarters. Next, we meet Joey. He's 34. He's a physician associate and a Taurus. His energy, his vibe, even his shirts remind me of Joey from Full House. And actually later in the episode, they show the other men in the pods talking about Joey.
God, do you think so, Benji?
Have you tried the Hey Dude?
He's just really well liked. I like him. Meets Monica. She's 27. She's in digital marketing, and she's an Aries. They seem super fun. They had a good time. They're joking around about how they don't like country music, and they used to swing dance. The brunt of these 6 episodes is focused on the next couples. First off is Dave, who's a major red flag. He works in medical aesthetics, aka plastic surgery. He's 32 and an Aries.
Monica, why are you here? What's wrong with you? So, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you here?
What?
How old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay. So you're no longer attractive.
Oh my God.
We've seen this before in past seasons where a guy comes in and just starts saying off the wall. Last season was like Nick Dorca, and the season before that was Matthew. Said something about how this process and this experiment with being blind is really testing himself to see if he's that guy.
To be brutally honest, I just have kind of been an ass to women in my previous dating life. I really wanted to confront myself about that.
That didn't sit well with me because that's putting another person at the expense of him learning a lesson. It's like AD and Clay all over again. Yet again, another F-boy coming on to Love is Blind instead of therapy. First meets Lauren, who is a Sagittarius. She's 30, and she's a former teacher who now sells social studies supplies. He confessed to Lauren day one that he's a shallow person, but he knows he's better than that and he's trying to change. So, I mean, I'll give him that. But Lauren, he told you day one. They seem to get along, I guess. Also meets Molly, who's another Sagittarius, but she's an assistant executive, I don't know. And she's never had a serious boyfriend ever. So wild to me to be that age and never had a serious boyfriend, but she's also a Sagittarius, so it makes complete sense. She said it's easy to get a boyfriend. She could just get one whenever she wants. She doesn't want one. Till now. So she's dated people and been in situationships, but nothing's ever worked out to be committed. And he's never brought somebody home to meet the family. Kind of vibe on family stuff. Next, we meet Alex. He's 28. He's a real estate broker, and he is a Taurus.
I remember telling a girl that I had a crush on her in high school, and she laughed in my face. And so then I went and ate lunch in the bathroom.
He first meets Madison, who is 27, and a Leo. She's a painter. I feel like she does watercolors. With this first meeting, they get kind of deep. Madison had teen parents who are addicted to drugs. She grew up with a lot of pain and loss. Dad died when she was like 8 or something. That stuck out with me that she said is that there are so many generational curses that I don't want to bring into my family, but sometimes I get upset about that because the cards my mom was dealt, I know she didn't break all the generational curses, but I know she did break some. His life was a little different. He talks about how he was a nerd in school and he was bullied and beaten up in the hallway. He has really bad ADHD, so he always struggled in school, and his parents are big academics and they kicked him out because of his grades. Madison brings up here that right after high school and college for the summer, she went and lived in Paris. She was staying with a French couple who taught English. So then she went with them to stay in Jordan to teach English as well. And I just remember that for later. Madison also meets Mason, who's a 32-year-old cinematographer, former skater boy, and he's a Taurus as well. They talk about how they're both creatives and kind of like some family stuff, and she starts trauma dumping on him as well, which is fine. You got to get deep with the person you're getting engaged to, but I mean, day one. The end of meeting Madison, she tells one date that she wants to trip all his bullies, and she tells the other that she hopes all his dates are not as good as this one. Also, remember that. She says it every time she sees him. He goes on to meet Meg. She's 30 years old, she's a nurse, and she's a Libra. Have a really fun and like connected banter. Here, it confirms what I was right. They all quickly met the day before and then pick some people because they talk about that. She goes, let's talk about aliens for a quick sec. She says she doesn't smoke, but she has high thoughts, and he laughs so hard. They just talk about random stuff, and there's like, he's so interested in listening to what she has to say. I really like them together, but people are saying she listens to the Joe Rogan podcast, which is like weird, and I don't know what that is. That's it for the initial meetups, and then we see Dave and Molly for a second time, and they're talking about exorcisms. So aliens and exorcisms. This episode got really weird. And somehow Dave is able to segue exorcisms into sex.
That's a good like segue into it.
Yeah.
So you like when the man takes charge.
Um,
That's what I like in the bedroom. Anything like a guy's like into and you're like, okay, weirdo.
no. I mean, I'm like pretty open to trying anything once.
I am too.
So,
If you're into it,
yeah.
I'm trainable.
They both think sex is very important in a relationship, and it just gets really awkward after this. I don't like listening to them talk about it. She says that they're so perfect for each other, and he says all the girls' voices sound the same except hers. Hers sounds like his high school girlfriend's, so he can tell her voice apart from anybody else's. Next, we see Dave and Lauren, and their convo is a little more lighthearted. They're talking about family, and he mentions that his sister didn't want him to come onto this show. Like, none of the girls on this show are going to be good enough for him. And she's just sitting there like, Like, I would have taken offense to that. But he has an older sister, so he just gets it. We see Daniel and Taylor for a second time. She's absolutely losing her voice like me. They talk about how they both journaled each other the night before. They were on other dates and like thinking about each other. They were both excited to talk to one another. They just really like each other. And then they talk about Christmas. They both have a very vast love for Christmas. And every year he does a Christmas card, and it's a tradition that he does that he wants to bring into his marriage. Remember that. That's foreshadowing. We see Dev and Brittany for 2 seconds, and they're talking about food. Brittany loves cheese, but cheese does not love Brittany. Then they show Devin and Virginia for 2 seconds, and they're listening to music, and they have like those headphones on and stuff, which is in a later episode. So we don't even get to see day 2 conversations with them. Their storyline is just all edited weird, and I'm upset. I'm mad about it. We see Joey and Monica for a second time. They're talking about their love of Sound of Music.
I've watched The Sound of Music probably 5,000 times.
Stop it! God, this is insane.
Joey had a sister with cerebral palsy who passed away when he was 16. We also learned that he was homeschooled, but then he made a transition to public school in high school, and it was really hard for him because he didn't know what to wear, he didn't know how to act, he only had older sisters, but football saved him because he was able to make friends and people thought he was cool. It was just like a really heartwarming story. We get a little clip in the men's headquarters where Dave is talking about how as the day goes on, his last date is not fresh in his mind, so it just gets more confusing and it's hard for him. He has no idea what to do. Cut to Dave and Lauren. They're talking about vacations. They both like the lake life. She mentions that a couple years ago, she went to Mexico with some girlfriends and she got a tattoo on her wrist that says FTP, F the patriarchy. And his response was, wow, I didn't know you were a party girl. She's like, yeah, I can have fun and stand up for myself. Dave says, you weren't ever really low on my list, but after today, I'm like, wow, okay, Lauren. And she confirms like he too was like up there on her list or whatever. Dave says he didn't think that he would come onto this show and feel this way. It feels like something out of the movies. He's like, ugh, I don't want to leave. I have another date. Can I just cancel and stay here? And she's like, yeah, have a good night and cancel all your dates. Then straight to him and Molly again, asking about her tattoos, which is editing, but it's a little ick to me.
You got an ass tat?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, on my
She says that she has an ass tat, and he's like, I don't think I've seen many ass tats on women. Have you seen many asses? No, I haven't. She's like, oh yeah, I didn't think that you were the type. I didn't get the vibe. And I'm like, how? How do you not get the vibe? He's an F boy. It reeks from the Dave and Molly date end with him saying, I really like you. And she says, I really like you too. He goes, ever since the beginning, it's just been Molly. The end. We're in the women's quarters where we see Molly talking to Madison about her number one, Dave, and how she thinks the other person talking to Dave is actually Sarah. Then Lauren walks up, who's actually talking to Dave, and so she starts talking to Lauren about this and then tells Lauren who she's talking to.
People that are still seeing my person know now that I'm seeing him, so I feel like at this point I don't care. Dave. Got it.
Lauren doesn't take this very well. And she doesn't say, I'm talking to Dave too, which I also thought was really weird. I feel like there's some etiquette here that I don't get because I'm not a part of the show and I don't know how they do it. I really think that this was just all an accident and she didn't do this on purpose. But Lauren takes it that way in the second episode, but whatever. Please tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. I don't have friends and I needed someone to talk to about this, so like you can subscribe to me and we can be friends and talk about it. LIB for the next couple weeks, baby. Thanks for watching. Bye.